Welcome, everyone, to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keene. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Ask that you please add, follow, and check us out. Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn, and wherever you're watching from, please make sure to hit that like, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and share this link. That is the number one way to support, is by sharing. It helps me to get it out there. That way new people can find me. So share it on your social media, the groups you belong to. And keep in mind, we're completely viewer powered. So if you would like to donate and support to the channel, you can do that by going to PayPal, Cash App, Facebook Messenger, or joining us over on Patreon. The links are in the description box down below. And tonight is the third installment of the Mysteries of the God series. Let me go ahead and kill the music here. Tonight should be a pretty good one too. I do have the Discord fired up for those who are interested in listening on Discord. We're going to see kind of how that works. If I can manage that. And we are going to be starting up the Twitter Spaces in just a moment for people that have questions and stuff like that. So I'll be trying to take questions. Via Twitter Spaces and Discord tonight. I did put the links in the chat and tried to share them on Discord and stuff. So hopefully that works out for everybody and you guys will join me. So tonight is the third installment of the Mysteries of the God series. So if you don't catch this live, I'm sorry, you won't get to see it because this is a membership and donor only video. So this will be after tonight. This will be only for those who donate and support in the month of February, or who have joined us over on Patreon. And if you are on Patreon and you come over to the Discord, you will automatically have the updated and upgraded role for our Discord. Everybody who donates and supports get an upgraded role on Discord as well. And if you guys are interested, you can join me over on Twitter Spaces. It's Twitter at The Real Best Damn for those who are interested. And like I said, I'm gonna take some questions tonight and let some people add to the stuff. We're gonna be looking at all kinds of stuff. I found some really cool shit tonight. The Archons, the hidden rulers through the ages. This is a really cool rare text about Gnosticism and the Archons, as well as Helena Blavatsky, the Secret Doctrine. We're going to be looking at the book of Enoch. We're going to be looking at the Urantia files and the Lucifer rebellion. We're going to be looking at the Bible as well, and a few other things. So there will be a back half to all of this as well. That is just for members and donors only. And it will be diving into Spiritism, Alan Kardec's Spiritism, as well as the Spain scale, right, which is the psychometric properties for basically it's a scale that measures our energetic field. And a lot of people think that peace and love and all of that gives you the highest vibration, the highest frequency, but it's not true. It's actually being genuine. So we're going to look into that too, as well as Israel Regardi's Golden Dawn text as well. So, this goes all the way from the basics of the Golden Dawn to, some really deep stuff. So let me go ahead and try to start this Twitter Spaces, guys. So just give me one moment. I'm going to start the Twitter Spaces. You guys want to go join me. Like I said, the links are in the description box down below. If you want to join us over on Patreon, it's patreon.com, Best Damn Podcast Official. Cool. And if anybody wants to go over to Twitter or something and, help me co-host, just let me know. I'll make you a co-host. If not, like I said, people will be listening. Hopefully I can get the audio to run through here. Let's see what we got, guys. 1 second. I've already got the Twitter Spaces started, so we should be good to go. It's not showing up here. Well, you guys are more than welcome to join. Mic is on. All right, mic is on. Looks like we have some listeners already over on Twitter Spaces. There we go. Mic is on. All right. Looks like we have some listeners already over on Twitter Spaces. We're going to be talking about the fallen angels. This is Mystery of the Gods, episode 3. And yeah, you can join us over on Discord, Best Damn Podcast Discord, or you can join us over on YouTube, Best Damn Podcast Official. Looks like we're already going. So here we go. And, you know, raise your hand if you're over on Discord, or if you are on Twitter and, you know, you have something to add. Just make sure that you stay on topic tonight, because this is going to be about the fallen angels, you know. And one thing I really love about this topic in particular, and I guess it's, you know, how much interest it has from so many different kinds of people, you know. You have a lot of the people that are really religious that, you know, get into this because, you know, with the nephilim and, you know, the bottomless pit and the abyss, and, you know, they have their own school of thought and beliefs when it comes to the fallen ones, right? And then you have those that follow kind of, you know, the alien stuff and extraterrestrials, and they believe that, you know, who we call the fallen angels actually are just that, right? They're ETs from perhaps intradimensional entities or from another solar system or whatever, right? And then you have the school of thought from the esoteric kind of circles that really see the fallen angels as us, right? As us, as another incarnation or another form of ourselves. You know, perhaps, and if you think about it too, and we kind of jump, and I'll preface everything with Genesis by saying, you know, in the book of Genesis it says, in the beginning, you know, we were created in the image of the Elohim. Elohim translates to sons of God. For those who are watching, you know, I can pull this up on the screen, but you guys have seen it, you know. You've seen it before, right? Right here. Book of Genesis. And when he says, God said, let there be lights, right? In the expanse, we know that lights are luminaries, right? Luminaries. Luminaries are angels, heavenly host, stars, princes, planets, archons, governors, lords. There's a million names for these guys. Watchers, messengers. I can go on and on and on. So they came first, right? And then what do you have? Let us make humankind, which is Adam, the Atma, in our image, after our likeness. What does image mean? It means a phantom, an illusion, a resemblance, or a representative figure. It is an idol. So when it tells you not to worship false idols in the Bible, that's what it's talking about, is yourself. You are a shadow of the luminaries. You are a shadow of the angel. You are a shadow of something at a higher dimension, right? Something in a higher dimensional plane, a higher dimensional existence. Its light is projecting down here through that electromagnetic field or prism that we call, you know, the firmament, right? Another word for firmament is arc, by the way. Those 7 main planets representing the 7 colors of the rainbow, metals, minerals. We've talked about this many times. The 7 colors of the rainbow representing the covenant with God. The ark of the covenant, ark, firmament, covenant, the rainbow, that prism, right? That light being given off by those rulers of this reality, those governors, those archons, those watchers, through that collective third eye that we call the electromagnetic field or the firmament, projecting down here, projecting us, right? Us. We are the projection. We are the phantom. We are nothing but a specter. And I know that's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, you know, to think that, you know, they think it's so real. But everything in this world, in this reality, is given place by the Spirit. You know, that's why when you die, or when something or someone dies, it starts to decompose because the consciousness has withdrawn from that. You know, there's no more life animating it. So let's go ahead and start here first. You know. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Just remember, no matter what we get into tonight, to use your critical thinking and your spiritual discernment. You know, think for yourself. We start off in the book of Enoch, chapter 3, the fallen angels. And I'm telling you, I've got quite a few different really fucking cool schools of thought when it comes to the fallen. I want to share with you guys. So I really hope you stick around tonight. Make sure you hit that thumbs up for me and all that good stuff. Thank you, Son of God, Elephant Tusk, Kimberly F., Graceful Heart, Danny Davis, Dory Grace. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all of you guys in the chat. And I see, who do we have? Looks like Moors and Predators over on Twitter Spaces. And let's see who we have over in Discord. We have Timed Pieces 69 in Melville. Awesome. You guys see here, I hope you can see, you can raise your hand and, you know, request to speak and all that good stuff if you guys are interested. So we're going to start here first and, you know, all good. All right. Thank you for joining me. Where am I at? All right. Here we go. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Simyaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swear they all together, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200, who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. Now, I just want to kind of point out something right here from the start. If we look at the Anunnaki tales, okay, I believe it's the Lost Book of Enki, when Marduk is kind of rising up, and Marduk is the son of Enki, who is the oldest son of the two brothers, you know, these creation brothers, Enki and Enlil. The Lord Commander Enlil, who represents like a Satan figure, a commander, and Enki, who is like the bearer of light, like a Luciferian type of figure, right? They came from their father Anu, right? So Marduk is the firstborn son of Enki, and he's like given rule over the world eventually, right? He's the ram, you know, which the astrological age that he was in charge of, and he also represents the sun, which we know the age of Horus, right, is what we're in now, which is the child, okay? But he had these Agigi, is what they were called in that book, in that text. And these Agigi came unto the daughters of men. They took wives from the daughters of men. And it was Azazel or Azazel that actually was called the leader of them. And they did the same thing. They swore an oath, and the leader, Azazel, was the one who kind of said this instead of Semyaza, right? And they made a pact or an oath, and I believe there was even 200 of them as well. Don't quote me on that, but I believe so. And they, which pissed off, the Anunnaki big time, when these Ajiji started, taking these wives from men. But Marduk led them. He was their leader, and this was like this whole new era that was being ushered in. Now, if you think about also some of the implications of Mount Hermon, right? What happened in the Greek text? It was Mount Olympus that these demigods or deities came down on. And did they not also fornicate with women? They did, right? That's how we got like Hercules and shit like that, right? Because Zeus was fucking girls, basically, and having demigod sons, Perseus and Hercules and all of that, So you had Mount Hermon, Mount Olympus, and then if you think about Moses or Moshe, who many believe was also Akhenaten, when he came into contact with the burning bush, which if you think about these angels, a lot of time they are described as seraphim or seraphic beings, which are fire serpents, basically. Right? Matter of fact, let me pull up the definition of a seraphim for you guys, just so I don't sound like a fuckhead. And I'm not bullshitting. Oh shit. Here we go. There we go. All right. Seraph, or seraphim in plural. An angelic being regarded in traditional Christian angelology and belonging to the highest order of the ninefold celestial hierarchy. Let's see if we can get more on this. They're basically a fire serpent, or what, a lot of the, there we go. Let's pull this up here. And you'll see in a lot of other religions, they are called like plumed serpents and shit like that. Like when, Quetzalcoatl and Tetzicatlipoca, right, when it comes to the Mayans. So a seraph, a burning one, right, he's a fire being, is a celestial or heavenly being originating in ancient Judaism. The term plays a role in subsequent Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, right, so the big three. Tradition places seraphim in the highest rank in Christian angelology and in the 5th rank of 10 in the Jewish angelic hierarchy. A seminal passage in the book of Isaiah, Isaiah 6, 1 through 8, used the term to describe 6-winged beings that fly around the throne of God, crying, "Holy, holy, holy." This throne scene with its triple invocation of holiness profoundly influenced subsequent theology, literature, and art. Its influence is frequently seen in works depicting angels, heaven, apotheosis. Seraphim are mentioned as celestial beings in the semi-canonical book of Enoch and the canonical book of Revelation. And in Hebrew, the word seraph means burning and is used 7 times throughout the text of the Hebrew Bible as a noun and usually to denote serpent. So these are burning serpents or fiery flying serpents. Isaiah later uses the singular seraph to describe fiery flying serpents in line with other uses of the term throughout the Tanakh. So there you have it right there, right? And if we look at the Anunnaki gods, I just want to show you something real quick. You're going to see a big time similarity here. with these seraph. These seraph. You're going to see they had a lot of the depictions of them. Hopefully you guys can see this at home. Let me try to pull this. Alright, there you go. Boom. There you go. Alright, here we go. Right here. See? See? So these descriptions of these seraphic beings or fire beings with 6 wings, usually you see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And the Anunnaki a lot of times fit this description as well, man. So, just saying, just saying. And for those who are interested, right? Pretty interesting, right? And then with all of the different mounts, right? And if we think about Mount Hermon, it kind of makes me think of like Hermes or something like that as well. Hermes being like the trickster, but also the bringer of wisdom as well. All right. They swear all together and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it, and they were all in 200 who descended in the days of Jared and upon the summit of Mount Hermon, and they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual imprecations on it. And these are the names of their leaders. Samyaza, their leader, Arakba, Ramiel, Kokabiel, Tamaliel, Ramiel, Daniel, Ezekiel, Barakiel, Aziel, Amoros, Batarel, Ananel, Zachiel, Samsapiel, Satarel, Turel, Jamjiel, Sariel. These are the chiefs of 10s. The chief of 10s. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for himself one, and they began to go in unto them and to defile themselves with them. So they had sex. And they taught with charms and enchantments, the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. And and think about another, kind of like Anunnaki text or ancient Sumerian text, the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? Gilgamesh was a giant, right? He was one of these as well. Also, if we look at, giants, in the Bible, Nephilim, the giants, actually means, fallen, right? So, and they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish and to devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. Then the earth laid accusations against the lawless ones. And Azazel taught, and here's Azazel, and Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments and the use of antimony and the beautifying of the eyelids and all kinds of costly stones and all coloring tinctures. And there arose such godlessness that they committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways. Semyaza taught enchantments and root cuttings. Armoros, the resolving of enchantments. Barakil taught astrology. Kokabel taught the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of clouds. Arakiel, the signs of the earth. Shamsiel, the signs of the sun. Sariel, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. And this is the intercession of angels. Now, this is the higher angels that were brought in. We know now in this description, and we're going to jump to another book in just a moment. We know now, what we see in this description here is these angels that are teaching basically magic, right? They're teaching witchcraft. They're teaching the painting of the eyelids, so they're wearing makeup. They're teaching them to make swords. They're teaching them, to do all of these things, make clothes, whatever, right? Like all of it, roots, tinctures, all of it. These would be what you would call basically the sacred sciences or the mysteries or the arts. Like these are all of the things that now are, humanity uses to basically get by, And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said one to another, the earth made without inhabitant cries the voice of the cryingest up to the gates of heaven. And now to you, the holy ones of heaven, the souls of men make their suit, saying, bring our case before the Most High. And they said to the Lord of the ages, Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, and God of the ages, the throne of thy glory standeth unto all generations of the ages, and thy name holy and glorious and blessed unto all the ages. Thou hast made all things, and power over all things hast thou. And all things are naked and open in thy sight, and thou seest all things, and nothing can hide itself from thee. Thou seest what Azazel hath done, who hath taught all unrighteousness on earth, and revealed the eternal secrets which were in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And Samlazaz, who taught thou hast given authority to bear over his associates. And they have gone to the daughters of men and upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and have revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now, behold, the souls of those who have died are crying out, making their suit to the gates of heaven. And their lamentations have ascended and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are wrought on the earth. And thou knowest all things before they come to pass. And thou seest these things, and thou dost suffer them. And thou dost not say to us what we are to do to them in regard to these. Then said the Most High, the Holy and Great One spake, and sent Uriel to the son of Lamech, and said to him, go to Noah, and tell him in my name, hide thyself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. And again the Lord said to Raphael, bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert which is in Dudael, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face, that he may not see the light. And on the day of great judgment he shall be cast into the fire. Now think about that, guys. Let's just kind of come back for a second. When we're thinking about this, when the Holy and Great One is speaking here, this is where you see, the decision is made now to bring the deluge upon the earth. Now, could it be, and I just want to ask you guys this, could it be that the reason we were taught all of these things is because we were at the end of an age of fire? So there was lots of magic in the air, and our ability to learn things was at an all-time high. This is just, I'm just putting that out there. You guys can agree or disagree. I'd love to see your comments in the comment section. I'd love to see your, if you would like to join me over on Twitter or Discord or whatever. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Especially towards the end of the night, I'm gonna try to get some people to speak. So is this, we are being taught these things because we're at this end of the age, this end of the cycle, and we have like a very high consciousness, And is it this punishment that comes along, or what we deem as a punishment, and it's really the age of Pisces that's beginning? And that's why this great deluge comes. We're made to think that it's all bad and that it's all evil, right? We learned all of these things from the gods, okay? These 200, angels. But are these 200 angels actually part of the collective unconscious of humanity? And we look at like Solomonic magic and the brass vessel, right? And the 72 demons and all of that. When people are summoning those things up, are these some of these same beings that were part of the collective consciousness before the flood? Right? Maybe they were corrupted parts of us. Who knows? But I would love to hear what your guys' opinion of the Great Deluge actually is. It happened all over the earth. Was we flooded and destroyed because we had ascended to too high of a point of knowledge? That's a good question right there. It's a great question. Were we flooded and destroyed because we had too much knowledge? Because we rose too high? Like the Tower of Babel, right? We got our ass knocked the fuck back down, and what did they do? They confused our language and all that shit, right? Is this something very similar? Where we tapped into this heavenly host energy, and we're given knowledge of, metallurgy and all different types of things, And then the flood comes along. Or was it just a coincidence and the age of Pisces had began, and the church has twisted this to make it seem like we were being punished for having knowledge, when truly it was just a new age that was beginning, and it was an age of water, right? We know that when you look at the Anunnaki and Sumerian text, that Noah, I believe is Vayasudra in those texts, when Enki is actually, giving him, knowledge on the reed wall, and it's Enlil that doesn't want him to warn him. That way nobody can be spared, and he's trying to spare humanity. It's Enlil that makes the decision to destroy them, and the Anunnaki actually do descend down to the earth, right? And I believe they had 50 of them first, and then they brought more. So it's very interesting, just to kind of think about this. Binding Azazel hand and foot and cast him into the darkness. Now, and make an opening in the desert. Now, the desert is without water, right? It's dry, hot place. This would be something akin to Sheol, And these rough, jagged rocks that cover him with darkness, this would be like what we see a shadow being, right? It has no light. It's just a shadow. It's in between. It's, it's in Sheol. It's not in hell. It's not in heaven. It's walking in between existence in pure darkness. There's no light in it whatsoever. It's blacker than black when you look at the shadow, right? We're about to jump to a new book in just a moment. And heal the earth which the angels have corrupted. Proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and that all the children of men may not perish, all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. And the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin, right? And here is your scapegoat, your goat, right? Your Lucifer figure right here. And to Gabriel said the Lord, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates and the children of fornication and destroy the children of the watchers from amongst men. Send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. For length of days shall they not have, and no request they make shall be granted unto their fathers and on their behalf. For they hope to live in eternal life, and they each one of them will live 500 years. And the Lord said unto Michael, go bind Simyaza and his associates, and have them united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, to the day of their judgment and of their consummation, till the judgment that is forever and ever is consummated. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire, and to torment, and the prison in which they shall be confined forever. Now, I just want to ask you, when we looked at the children of the law of one, and it talked about, the Belialians, right? The ones at Belial, right? The ones that followed Baal. There was children of Baal and then the children of the light. Are these the children of Baal? When it's talking about their generations, bind them so their sons kill each other and all of that, right? And whosoever shall be condemned and destroyed from thenceforth be bound together with them in end of generation, to destroy all the spirits and the reprobate and the children of the watchers, because they have wronged mankind. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end, and let the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it shall prove a blessing, the works of righteousness, and the truth shall be planted in truth and joy forevermore. And then shall all the righteousness escape, and shall live till they beget thousands of children. And all the days of their youth and their old age shall complete in peace. And then shall the whole earth be tilled in righteousness, and shall all be planted with trees, and be full of blessing. Now let's move on to a different version of this story. I'd like to see a different perspective. Would you not? Like to see, a different perspective. Now, this book, very cool, by the way. If you guys have not heard of this, it's Archons, Hidden Rulers Through the Ages. And it's a weird one. I'm just gonna go ahead and, put that out there. It's a fucking weird one, but it's pretty cool. Now, Interrogatio Iohannis, the Secret Supper. The Interrogo Iohannis is a Catharian tale about the legendary fall of angels into the material world. Satan formed a male and a female body out of clay. Then he forced two angels to enter into the bodies. Satan the dragon trapped and captured all the angels he could grab out of heaven as they fell. Remember that Bible stuff about 1/3 of the angels in heaven being swept down by the dragon's tail? Gnostics say that was us. We are the fallen angels. We were trapped. We've been tricked. And we were mourning over what was imposed upon us. We had differentiated male and female bodies. Satan commanded us to perform works of flesh and bodies of clay, but we didn't know how. Satan had to find a way to force us into bodies of clay, so he made us lust each other, to have babies, and so to trap even more angels into bodies. His scheme included the creation of the paradise, Eden, where he literally dumped lust into our heads, and psychically, and in some cases by sexual assault. We are trapped angels. We are soul splinters of our archontic oversoul spread over different timelines and dimensions. Notice, The devil sexually seduces the angels as a snake because there is no godly wisdom in a cold-blooded reptile. And the archons are prison wardens, not alien parasites like John Lash claims. Now, let me pull up the chat there. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. The questions of John, the apostle and evangelist, at a secret supper in the kingdom of heaven about the governance of this world, about its ruler, and about Adam. I, John, partner in tribulation, so that I might be a partner in the kingdom of God, leaning on the breast of Jesus Christ our Lord at the supper, said to him, Lord, who shall betray thee? And the Lord said unto me, He that shall have dipped his hand in this dish, into him shall Satan enter. He shall betray me, I said. Lord, before Satan fell, in what splendor did he attend the Father, he said. Among the virtues of heaven and at the throne of the Father invisible, he was a regulator of all things, and sat with my Father. He, Satan, it was who presided over the virtues of the heavens and of those who attended on the Father. His power descended from the heavens even unto hell, and arose even unto the throne of the Father invisible. He had wardship of those splendors which were above all the heavens, and he pondered, wishing to take place his throne upon the clouds, and to be like the Most High. When he had come down to the lower air, he descried an angel seated upon the air, to whom he said, Open to me the portals of the air. These the angels opened for him, and passing down, he descried an angel who was guarded the waters to him, to whom he said, Open to me the portals of the waters. The angel opened them to him. Descending further, he found the whole earth covered with water. Walking beneath this, he came upon two fish lying upon the waters. These indeed were yoked together, and they bore up the whole earth at the bidding of the Father invisible. And passing down further still, he found great clouds holding the masses waters of the sea. And descending lower, he found his hell, which is the Gehenna of fire. But thereafter he was unable to go further down because of the flame of the fire which was raging. Then Satan retraced his path, filling himself with evil plots. He ascended to the angel who was over the air, and to the angel who was over the waters, and to them said, All things are mine. If you hearken to me, I will place my throne over the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. I will bear the waters up above this firmament, and I will gather the other waters into the wide seas. After that there shall not be water upon the face of the whole earth, and I shall reign with you forever and ever. Thus he spoke to the angels. He ascended to the very heavens, even unto the third heaven, subverting the angel of the Father invisible, and saying to each of them, How much dost thou owe thy Lord? Thy first answered, 100 barrels of oil, he said to him. Take the bill and sit down and write 50, he said to another. Now you, how much dost thou owe thy Lord? Who said, 100 quarters of wheat. To him he said, Take thy bill and sit down quickly and write 80. To the other heavens he ascended with like speech. He ascended even unto the fifth heaven, seducing the angel of the Father invisible. And a voice came from the throne of the Father, saying, What dost thou, O thou devoid of hope, subverting the angels of the Father? Contriver of sin, do quickly what thou hast planned. Then the Father bade his angels, Take from all the angels who hearken to him the garments, the thrones, and the crowns. And these angels took the vestments, the thrones, and the crowns from all the angels who hearken to him. And once again I, John, questioned the Lord, saying, When Satan fell, in what place did he dwell? In answer, he said to me, because of his self-exaltation, my father decreed his transformation, withdrawing from him the light of his glory. The face of Satan was like an iron glowing from the fire, and the whole aspect of his countenance was like that of a man. And he had 7 tails, which he drew up away the third part of the angels of God. That's interesting. The 7 tails thing, with the 7 chakras, the 7 planets, and drew away a third of the angels of God, those 7 main planets. And them are also known as the 7 sons of Satan. That's very interesting. He was cast out from before the throne of God and from the stewardship of heaven. Falling down from heaven, Satan could find no peace in this firmament, nor could those who were with him. And he besought the Father, saying, I have sinned. Have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. The Lord was moved with pity from him, and gave him peace to do what he would until the 7th day. Then Satan took his seat above the firmament, and gave command to the angel who was over the air and the angel who was over the waters. So they raised 2/3 of the waters high into the air. Of the remaining third they formed wide seas. The division of the waters was command of the Father invisible. Again Satan bade the angel who was over the waters take a stand upon the 2 fish. And the angel raised the earth upward with his head, and dry land appeared, and was, when he took a crown from the angel who was over the air. From half of it he made himself a throne. And when he took a crown from the angel who was over the waters, from half he made the light of the moon, from half the light of the day. From precious stones he made fire, and from fire he made all the host of heaven and the stars. And from them he made angels, his ministering spirits, according to the plan of the governor most high. He also made thunder, rain, hail, and snow, and over these he set his ministering angels. He commanded the earth to bring forth all living things, animals, trees, and herbs. The sea he commanded to bring forth fish, and the air, the birds of the heavens. And he pondered on making man to serve him. He took clay of the earth and made man like unto himself, and then bade an angel of the 2nd heaven to enter the body of clay. Of this body he took a part and made another body in the form of a woman, and bade an angel of the 1st heaven to enter it. And the angels grieved deeply that they thus had a mortal form imposed upon them, and that they now existed in different forms. And Satan bade them to perform the works of the flesh in their bodies of clay, but they did not know how to commit sin. The originator of sin, accomplished his purpose by seduction in this way. He planted a paradise and set men therein, and bade them not to eat of its fruits. The devil entered paradise and planted a bed of reeds in the midst of paradise. Of his spittle he made a serpent, and made him remain in the reeds. Thus the devil concealed the knowledge of the deceit, so that they would not perceive his treachery. He went into them, saying, Eat of all the fruit in paradise, but the fruit of good and evil eat not. Therefore, the wicked devil, entering into the evil serpent, deceived the angel who was in the form of a woman, and poured out upon her head a longing for sin. And Eve's desire was like a glowing oven. Forthwith the devil in the form of the serpent came out of the reeds, and sated his lust on her with the serpent's tail. And remember, the Ouroboros, the serpent's tail, represents phallic symbolism, or a penis, and the mouth is a vagina. That is why the offspring are called not sons of God, but sons of the devil and sons of the serpent, fulfilling the diabolic desires of their father, even unto the end of the world. After this, the devil poured out his longing upon the head of the angel who was in Adam. And both angels were affected by a lust for debauchery, together begetting the children of the devil and of the serpent until the consummation of the world. So you can see here, this is kind of like a different tale. This is, in essence, Satan creating the Garden of Eden, Satan tricking Adam and Eve, Satan doing all of this, right? Now, let's jump over to another one here. Where am I at? Right here. Now, in the secret doctrine, we're going to get a lot different perspective when it comes to, the fallen angels, because they do not subscribe to a lot of the same theories that the church does. So, you have the Enochian kind of tales of this, you have the different accounts of that, and, yeah, thank you. Everybody smash that like button. But we have the Enochian, accounts of this. We have the accounts of it being Satan and the fallen. So we have all these different ways of looking at this. So, and I imagine, there's truth in all, right? Everybody, I think, can agree that, each one of these has a little bit of truth. But, here's the thing. At the end of the day, we need to decide, what story are we being told and why? Is this, and I believe that we are listening to the origins of humanity. That we, in fact, descended from the heavens. That we, in fact, are more than likely the fallen. I would love to hear people's opinion on that too. If you believe that, let me know. We're getting close to question time, about 30 more minutes, and I'm going to take questions. If people want to join me, we'll do it probably on Discord or Twitter Spaces for those who are interested that have anything to add into this. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Okay, here we go. Our present quarrel is exclusively with theology. The church enforces belief in a personal God and a personal devil, while occultism shows the fallacy of such a belief. And though for the pantheist and occultist, as much for the pessimist, nature is no better than a comely mother, but stone cold. This is true only so far as regards external physical nature. They both agree that to the superficial observer she is no better than an immense slaughterhouse, wherein butchers become victims and victims executioners in their turn. It is quite natural that the pessimistically inclined profane, once convinced of nature's numerous shortcomings and failures, and especially of her autophagous propensities, should imagine this to be the best evidence that there is no deity in abscondito within nature, nor anything divine in her. Nor is it less natural that the materialist and the physicist should even imagine that everything is due to the blind force and chance, and to the survival of the strongest, even more often than the fittest. But the occultists, who regard physical nature as a bundle of most varied illusions on the plane of deceptive perceptions, who recognize in every pain and suffering but the necessary pangs of incessant procreation, a series of stages towards an ever-growing perfectibility, which is visible in the silent influence of never-erring karma or abstract nature. The occultists, we say, view the Great Mother otherwise. Woe to those who live without suffering. Stagnation and death is the future of all that vegetates without a change. And how can there be any change for the better without proportionate suffering during the preceding stage? Is it not only those who have learnt the deceptive value of earthly hopes and the elusive allurements of external nature who are destined to solve the great problems of life, pain, and death? If our modern philosophers, preceded by the medieval scholars, have helped themselves to more than one fundamental idea of antiquity, theologians have built their God and his archangels, their Satan and his angels, along with the Logos and his staff, entirely out of the dramatis personae of the old heathen pantheons. They would have been welcome to these had they not cunningly distorted the original characters, perverted the philosophical meaning, and taking advantage of the ignorance of Christendom. The result of long ages of mental sleep during which humanity was permitted to think only by proxy, tossed every symbol into the most inextricable confusion. One of their most sinful achievements in this direction was the transformation of the divine alter ego into the grotesque Satan of their theology. As for whole philosophy of the problem of evil hang-ups upon the correct comprehension of the constitution of the inner beings of nature and man, the divine within the animal, and hence also the correctness of the whole system as given in these pages with regard to the crown piece of evolution, man, we cannot take sufficient precautions against theological subterfuges. When the good St. Augustine and the fiery Tertullian called the devil the monkey of God, this could be attributed to the ignorance of the age they lived in. It is more difficult to excuse our modern writers on the same ground. The translation of Mazdian literature has afforded the Roman Catholic writers to the pretext for proving their point in the same direction once more. They have taken advantage of the dual nature of Ahura Mazda in the Zendavesta and the Venedad of his Arm Hashapins, and to emphasize still further their wild theories. Satan is a plagiarist and a copyist by anticipation of the religion which came ages later. This was one of the master strokes of the Latin Church, its best trump card after the appearance of spiritualism in Europe. Though only a success d'estime in general, even among those who are not interested in either theosophy or spiritualism, yet the weapon is often used by the Christian Roman Catholic Kabbalist against the Eastern occultists. Now even the materialists are quite harmless and may be regarded as the friends of theosophy when compared to some fanatical Christian, as they all call themselves, sectarian, as we call them, Kabbalist on the continent. These read the Zohar not to find in it ancient wisdom, but to discover in its verses, by mangling the text and meanings, Christian dogmas where none could ever have been meant, and having fished them out with the collective help of Jesuitical casuistry and learning, the supposed Kabbalists proceed to write books and to mislead less far-sighted students of the Kabbalah. In a footnote, such a pseudo-Kabbalist was the Marquis de Merville in France, who, having studied the Zohar and other old remnants of Jewish wisdom under the Chevalier Drac, an ancient rabbi Kabbalist converted to the Romish Church, wrote with his help half a dozen volumes full of slander and calumnies against every prominent spiritualist and Kabbalist, From 1848 to 1860, he persecuted unrelentingly the old Count d'Orchez, one of the earliest Eastern occultists in France, a man the scope of whose occult knowledge will never be appreciated correctly by his survivors because he screened his real beliefs and knowledge under the mask of spiritism. Interesting. And the genesis of the devil. We're going to go back actually to the serpent here, the seraphic beings in this one. Jesus, how long is this fucking book? Okay. Jesus Christ. Hold on, guys. Sorry. This is going slow as shit. Alright, there we go. Septenary hierarchies. Okay, here we go. These terms, the sons of fire, the sons of the fire mist, and the like, require explanation. They are created or connected with a great primordial and universal mystery, and it is not easy to make it clear. There is a passage in the Bhagavad Gita wherein Krishna speaks symbolically and esoterically says, I will state the times and conditions at which devotees departing from this life do so never to return or be reborn, or to return to incarnate again. The fire, the flame, the day, the bright lucky fortnight, the 6 months of the northern solstice, departing, dying in these. Those who know the Brahmin yogis go to the Brahmin. Smoke, night, the dark, unlucky fortnight, the 6 months of the southern solstice, dying in these, the devotee goes to the lunar night, or mansion the astral light also, and returns and is reborn. These two paths, bright and dark, are said to be eternal in this world, or great kalpa, or age. By the one, a man goes never to come back, and by the other he returns. Now these names, fire, flame, day, the bright fortnight, etc., as smoke, night, and so on, leading only to the end of the lunar path, are incomprehensible without a knowledge of esotericism. These are all names of various deities which preside over the cosmos' psychic powers. We often speak of the hierarchy of the flames, of the sons of fire, etc. Sankaracharya, the greatest of the esoteric masters of India, says that the fire means a deity which presides over time, Kala. The able translator of the Bhagavad Gita, Kashinath Trimbak, Okay. The Agjaswastha and Kumara, or 7 mystic sages, are solar deities, though the former are Pitris also, and these are the fashioners of the inner man. The sons of fire, because they are the first beings in the secret doctrine, are called minds, evolved from primordial fire. The Lord is a consuming fire, Deuteronomy. The Lord Christos shall be revealed with his mighty angels in flaming fire, Thessalonians. The Holy Ghost descended on apostles like cloven tongues of fire, Acts. Vishnu will return on Kalki, the white horse, as the last avatar amid fire and flames. And Socios will be brought down equally on a white horse in a tornado of fire. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him is called the Word of God. Amid flaming fire, fire is aether in its purest form, and hence is not regarded as matter, but it is the unity of aether, the second manifested deity in the universality. But there are two fires, and a distinction is made between them in the occult teachings. The first, or the purely formless and invisible fire, concealed the central spiritual sun, which is spoken of as a triple, metaphysically, triple sun, while the fire of the manifested cosmos is septenary. Throughout both the universe and the solar system, the fire of knowledge burns up all action on the plane of illusion. Therefore, those who have acquired it and are emancipated are called fires. Speaking of the seven senses symbolized as Hotras priests, and the Brahmana says Anugita. Thus these seven senses, smell and taste and color and sound, etc., etc., are the cause of emancipation. It is from these seven from which the self shall be emancipated. I am here devoid of qualities must mean the self, not the Brahma who speaks. Now, okay. Interesting. We keep seeing the kind of, the theme of the seven popping up over and over. We keep seeing the theme of, the fire beings popping up over and over and over. Now, we're going to jump into the Lucifer rebellion. We see all this always comes back to, Satan, which, we know Satan is, in essence, Father Time, right? And him being responsible, essentially, for trapping humanity, within this matrix, right? This Saturn moon matrix that we exist in now. And that humanity is this projection, this holographic projection that comes from these luminaries, right? These stars. So were we, and given on the information that we've kind of seen so far, I think it's not too much to fathom, or not too much to kind of, it's not really going out on a limb to say that it looks as if these fire beings were stars. They were suns. They were suns. Sons of God, right? Just like the son of God. We always kind of connect the two to the sun in the sky, right? And the sun being a masculine energy, cycling over and over daily. The moon being a feminine energy, cycling every 28 days like a menstrual cycle. Okay. But is it, and then we see this correlation to these seven suns always as well, which comes down to these planets giving off their light, these colors of the rainbow, these watchers, these rulers, right? It's kind of like the same thing connecting over and over. So it makes one believe, really, or at least kind of come to the conclusion of, like, we are more than likely the fallen angels. We are the third of those, stars or fragments or fractals, if you will, that fell down, and through reproduction we've been fragmented into even smaller pieces. Maybe we were giants at one time before the age of Pisces, when we had the fire magic still within us. But something was to happen with, when you think about coming unto the daughters of men, that's reproduction. It's reproduction. It's like saying when we started reproducing, that's, when the age of Pisces comes along, and now it's just us. Which I feel like is a really interesting concept to kind of think, if it's like, it's telling us the story of like who we are really, essentially, more than, these other deities. And it's kind of telling us also the role that the celestial spheres have played in all of this as well, that we get these energies. And there's many schools of thought too that believe, especially with catastrophism, that there's these cycles and we get a new sun every cycle, a new star, a new fire being, right? A fiery serpent, right? Flying serpent. It's like a comet or a sun, right? It's flying, it's got a tail, If you look in science, it says basically that our sun is like that. It's like a comet, and all the planets are just, orbiting behind it in its wake. Well, play at whatever speed you need to catch up. And I would love to hear, this is where I get into, and we're going to do the Lucifer Rebellion, and then I'm going to take, I would love to hear some of your guys' opinions on this as well, before, I end up wrapping it all up or whatever, so. Here we go. This is from the Urantia papers. Lucifer was a brilliant primary Lamendek son of Nebadon. He had experienced service in many systems. He had been a high counselor of his group and was distinguished from wisdom, sagacity, and efficiency. Lucifer was number 37 of his order, and when commissioned by the Melchizedeks, he was designated as one of the 100 most able and brilliant personalities and more than 700,000 of his kind. From such a magnificent beginning, through evil and error, he embraced sin and is numbered as one of the 3 system sovereigns in Nebadon who have succumbed to the urge of self and surrendered to sophistry of spurious personal liberty, rejection of universal allegiance, and disregard of fraternal obligations, blindness to cosmic relationships. In the universe of Nebadon, the domain of Christ Michael, there are 10,000 systems of inhabited worlds. In all the history of Lamendek's sons and all their work throughout these thousands of systems at the universe headquarters, only 3 system sovereigns have ever been found in contempt of the government of the Creator Son. The leader of rebellion. Lucifer was not an ascended being. He was a created son of the local universe. And of him it was said, "You were perfect in all your ways from the day you were created till unrighteousness was found in you." Many times had he been in council with the Most High of Urantia, and Lucifer reigned upon the holy mountain of God, the administrative mount of Jerusalem, for he was the chief executive of a great system of 607 inhabited worlds. Lucifer was a magnificent being, brilliant personality. He stood next to the Most High fathers of the constellations in the direct line of universe authority. Notwithstanding Lucifer's transgressions, subordinate intelligences refrained from showing him disrespect and disdain prior to Michael's bestowal on Urantia. Even the archangel of Michael at the time of Moses' resurrection did not bring against him an accusing judgment, but simply said, "The judge rebuke you." Judgment in such matters belongs to the Ancient of Days, the ruler of the super universe. Lucifer is now the fallen and deposed sovereign of Satania. Self-contemplation is most disastrous, even to the exalted personalities of the celestial world. Of Lucifer it was said, "Your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom because of your brightness. Your olden prophets saw his sad estate when he rose. How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cast down, you who dared to confuse the worlds?" Very little was heard of Lucifer on Urantia, owing to the fact that he was assigned his first lieutenant, Satan, to advocate his cause on your planet. Satan was a member of the same primary group of the Lanandex, but had never functioned as a system sovereign. He entered fully into the Lucifer insurrection. The devil is none other than Caligastia, the deposed planetary prince of Urantia and a son of the secondary order of the Lanandex. At the time Michael was on Urantia in the flesh, Lucifer, Satan, and Caligastia were leagued together to effect the miscarriage of his bestowal mission, but they signally failed. Abaddon, or Abaddon, was a chief of the staff of Caligastia. He followed his master into rebellion and has ever since acted as a chief executive of the Urantia rebels. Beelzebub was the leader of the disloyal Midway creatures who allied themselves with the forces of the traitorous Caligastia. The dragon eventually became the symbolic representation of all these evil personages. Upon the triumph of Michael, Gabriel came down from Salvington and bound the dragon, all the rebel leaders, for an age. Of the Jerusalem seraphic rebels it is written, "And the angels who kept not their first estate, but left their habitation, he who has reserved in some chains of darkness to the judgment of the great day." The cause of the rebellion. Lucifer and his first assistant, Satan, had reigned on Jerusalem for more than 500,000 years when in their hearts they began to array themselves against the universal Father, and then his vicegerent son, Michael. There was no peculiar or special conditions in the system of Satania which suggested or favored rebellion. It is our belief that the idea took origin and form in Lucifer's mind, and that he might have instigated such no matter where he might have been stationed. Lucifer first announced his plans to Satan, but it required several months to corrupt the mind of his able and brilliant associate. However, when once converted to the rebel theories, he became a bold and earnest advocate of self-assertion and liberty. No one ever suggested rebellion to Lucifer. The idea of self-assertion in opposition to the will of Michael and to the plans of the universal Father, as they represented in Michael, had its origins in his own mind. And I just want to kind of state in the Urantia, in case you're wondering why they keep saying Michael and Christ Michael, they believe that Michael the Archangel is Jesus. So they believe that Michael incarnated as a man in Jesus, so he's Christ Michael to them, right? So Michael, he who was like God, he incarnated as Jesus according to the Urantia papers. So just in case you're wondering why it's saying that. His relations with the Creator's Son had been intimate and always cordial. At no time prior to the exaltation of his own mind did Lucifer openly express dissatisfaction about the universe administration. Notwithstanding his silence for more than 100 years of standard time, the union of days on Salvington had been reflectivating to Uversa that all was not at peace in Lucifer's mind. This information was also communicated to the Creator's Son and the constellation fathers of Norlish Deck. I have no idea how to say that. Throughout this period, Lucifer became increasingly critical of the entire plan of universe administration, but always professed wholehearted loyalty to the supreme rulers. His first outspoken disloyalty was manifested in the occasion of a visit of Gabriel to Jerusalem just a few days before the open proclamation of the Lucifer Declaration of Liberty. And isn't that interesting? Lucifer has a Declaration of Liberty and we have a Declaration of Independence, you know. Gabriel was so profoundly impressed with the certainty of the impending outbreak that he went direct to Urantia to confer with the constellation fathers regarding the measures to be employed in case of an open rebellion. It is very difficult to point out the exact cause or causes which finally culminated in the Lucifer rebellion. We are certain of only one thing, and that is, whatever these first beginnings were, they had their origin in Lucifer's mind. There must have been a pride of self that nourished itself to the point of self-deception. So that Lucifer, for a time, really persuaded himself that his contemplation of rebellion was actually for the good of the system, if not the universe. By the time his plans developed to the point of disillusion, he had gone too far. His original and mischief-making pride to permit him to stop. At some point, this experience became insincere, and evil evolved into deliberate and willful sin. He was long offered opportunity for repentance, but only some of his subordinates ever accepted the proffered mercy. The faithful of days of Urantia, on the request of constellation fathers in person, presented the plan of Michael for the saving of these flagrant rebels. But always was the mercy of the Creator's Son rejected, and rejected with increasing contempt and disdain. So literally it's saying God tried to save him time and time again. The Lucifer Manifesto. And doesn't this sound, very familiar? Manifestos, thinking about communism and shit like that. I just find it to be very interesting how similar a lot of this shit is to the stuff that we see. I've often wondered if we were fallen. It does make sense. Excuse me? You are demon-possessed, son. Repent to the Lord. I hope you're being funny. I'm going to put that user in timeout. You're demon-possessed, son. Alright. Alright, here we go. So, whatever the early origins of trouble in the hearts of Lucifer and Satan, the final outbreak took forms as the Lucifer Declaration of Liberty. The cause of the rebels was stated under three heads: the reality of the Universal Father. Lucifer charged that the Universal Father did not really exist, that physical gravity and space energy were inherent in the universe, and that the Father was a myth invented by the Paradise Sons to enable them to maintain the rule of the universes in the Father's name. He denied that personality was a gift of the Universal Father. He even imitated that the finalators who were in collusion with the Paradise Sons to foist fraud upon all of creation, since they never brought back a very clear-cut idea of the Father's actual personality as it is discernible on Paradise. He traded on reverence as ignorance. The charge was sweeping, terrible, and blasphemous. It was this veiled attack upon the finalators that no doubt influenced the ascendant cities then on Jerusalem to stand firm and remain steadfast in resistance to all the rebel proposals. The universe government of the Creator's son Michael, Lucifer contended that the local system should be autonomous. He protested against the right of Michael, the Creator's son, to assume sovereignty of Nebadon in the name of a hypothetical Paradise Father and require all personalities to acknowledge allegiance to this unseen Father. So he's saying, they don't even have a clear personality for God, is what he's saying. So there's no proof of him existing, and that, why would he have to give allegiance to Christ if there's no proof of Christ Father, That's what he's saying, basically. It's like there's no proof of God, so why are we going to worship his son, because he could just say he's a son, they don't even know the personality of God, right? So this is kind of like the beginning of the rebellion here. Require all personalities to acknowledge allegiance to this unseen Father. He asserted that the whole plan of worship was a clever scheme to aggrandize the Paradise Sons. He was willing to acknowledge Michael as his creator father, but not as his God and rightful ruler. Most bitterly did he attack the right of the Ancient of Days, foreign potentates, to interfere in the affairs of the local systems of the universe. These rulers he denounced as tyrants and usurpers. He exhorted his followers to believe that none of the rulers could do aught to interfere with the operation of complete home rule if men and angels only had the courage to assert themselves and boldly claim their rights. He contended that the executioner of the Ancient of Days could be debarred from functioning in the local systems if the native beings would only assert their independence. He maintained that immortality was inherent in the system personalities, that resurrection was natural and automatic, and that all beings would live eternally except for the arbitrary and unjust acts of the executioners of the Ancient of Days. The attack upon the universal plan of ascendant mortal training, Lucifer maintained that far too much time and energy were expended upon the scheme in so thoroughly training ascending mortals in the principles of universe administration, principles which he alleged were unethical and unsound. He protested against the age-long program for preparing the mortals of space for some unknown destiny, and pointed to the presence of the finalitier corps on Jerusalem as proof these mortals had spent ages of preparation for some destiny of pure fiction. With derision, he pointed out the finalators had encountered a destiny no more glorious than to be returned to humble spheres similar to those of their origin. He intimated that these had been debauched by overmuch discipline and prolonged training, and that they were in reality traitors to their mortal fellows, since they were now cooperating with the scheme of enslaving all creation to the fiction of a mythical, eternal destiny for ascending mortals. He advocated that ascenders should enjoy the liberty of individual self-determination. He challenged and condemned the entire plan of mortal ascension, sponsored by the Paradise Sons and supported by the Infinite Spirit. And with such a declaration of liberty that Lucifer launched his orgy of darkness. Well, let's see here. I'm actually starting to get a little tired here, guys, with the reading. So let's try to switch to something else. That way I don't, pass out on you. So we see here, basically, in the story of the Urantia, Lucifer, he's in a really high estate, as like a lot of us have already heard, in times past, a really high estate. And one of the highest ranking angels, and he kind of like starts this rebellion based on the fact like that, Christ Michael, he says, oh yeah, you're my creator or whatever, but you have no right to rule over me, basically claiming his own sovereign rulership. And saying that we don't even know if this Father God exists. Nobody knows his personality, so I'm not going to acknowledge the authority of anybody claiming authority based on their connection to him, right? Very interesting when you think about it, because it's not exactly, what we would hear, biblically, or, looking at the biblical tales. And, like, speaking of, the Bible, we're going to jump to a few different Bible verses, that are talking about the fall, and kind of examine those, Jude 1:6, and the angels who did not keep their positions of authority but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day. I would love to, and this is something I want to ask you guys, right? And let's pull this up on the Word. I think that's the best way to do this. This is Jude 1:6. Could it be that we are the ones who did not keep our original state? Just kind of throwing that out there, and Judgment Day is for humanity, so could it be us that are reserved for Judgment Day? Let's take a look here. 6. You also know that the angels, which is angelos, an angel of God. Ooh, how about that? A messenger, an angel of God, of evil, Satan, a demon. By implication, a person carrying forth a message from God, i.e. a servant, a disciple, pastor, elder, prophet, etc. A thing or event carrying forth a message from God, i.e. a hardship, pestilence, wind, etc., or an animal, donkey, or locust. That's not enough for me. I need a little bit more on that. Let's see what a herd or a drove. To lead, to bring, to drive, to pass, to induce. Alright. So you also know that the angels who did not keep within their proper domain. They did not keep within their proper domain, but abandoned their own place of residence. They abandoned their own place of residence or habitation, and he has kept in eternal chains. How about that? He's kept in eternal change, which is band, bonds, chains, strings, impediment or disability, shackled of a prisoner, ligament of the body. Wow. So are the eternal chains the body? Right? The shadow, the phantom, the darkness, is that the eternal darkness that we were, that the fallen was put into? And think about it too. He talked about the jagged rocks. Are we talking about like the living rock? Right? Just saying. Okay. Under darkness, gloom. Okay. Let's see if there's any other words that we can pull out of that. Large, dense crowd. Wow. Great number of people. Cloud also represents consciousness. So it's the consciousness of a great number of people. Wow. Wow. How about that? So the angels who didn't keep their proper domain, right? They didn't keep their original, chief or commencement, but abandoned their own place of habitation, their own house, their temple, right? He is kept in eternal chains, which means everlasting bondage, everlasting disability or impediment in the ligaments or to a body, and in a body, and utter darkness. Utter darkness is cloudy and gloom. Cloud represents spirit, right? So a spirit, a collective spirit, locked up for the judgment of the great day. Locked up for the judgment of the great day. The decision, the tribunal, the justice of the great day. The day of Yahweh, or the wrath of the Father, and the day of the Lord, the last day. The white throne judgment or inspection day for the redeemed at his returning presence. There is a day of inspection for the redeemed at his returning presence in the air for reward, and one shortly after the wrath of survivors on the earth, and another day for inspection for others at the white throne judgment. I just want, it's redeemed. Why? Why are we redeemed? Right? Why are we redeemed in this original sin? Where do you think this concept of fucking original sin came from? Right? Where did the original sin come from? Does anybody got any ideas of where original sin maybe actually came from? If we are the fallen, then the original sin actually came from the fact that we're fallen angels. So the fact that, we're bound in darkness, which is a phantom, right? The specter, the illusion, the projection, which we are made in the image of the Elohim, sons of God. We're a shadow of the angels, right? So these ones that came onto the daughters of men, right, were bound because they didn't keep their original estate, right? Their original dwelling, their temple. They were bound through ligament or body and gloomy cloud or, a collective spirit, a collective consciousness, right? Until the day of judgment. So they can be redeemed, right? We're born with original sin. We're redeemed by the blood of Christ. Do you see what's going on here? To me, it looks like we are the fallen. So also Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring towns, since they indulged in sexual immorality and pursued unnatural desire in a way similar to these angels. And let's see, there's different altos, self, right? Self. The one, he, the, or the one, the thing. Okay. These angels are now displayed as an example by suffering the punishment of eternal fire. Say what, bro? Right? These angels are now displayed as an example by suffering the punishment of eternal fire, going to hell, right? Right, going to hell. Let's take a look at another verse here. We have Peter, 2 Peter 2:4. For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but sent them to hell, putting them in chains of darkness to be held for judgment. Alright. Let's take a look at what that means. 2 Peter 2:4. 2 Peter 2:4. Bam. Wow. For if God did not spare the angels who sinned, they mortally failed and they were mortally disqualified, but threw them into hell, which is Tartaru. This is incarnate in the abyss or Tartarus, to await final judgment and eternal torment. Let's see what we can see with this hell and Tartarus too. Let's see if we got any more. God damn it. There's usually more. Don't see nothing else with this. Huh. And lock them up in chains. Lock them up in chains. And chains is binding or drawing. To conquer or to fasten them. Fasten them. Binding them. To drag. To drag by force. To take for oneself. To take for oneself. In utter darkness. In the clouding gloom, once again, right? The clouding gloom. So remember, clouding meaning consciousness, gloom meaning blackness. And the blackness, black consciousness, right? Wow. To be kept until the judgment. And if he did not spare the ancient world, original or primeval world, right? But did protect Noah, which was the patriarch. Let's see if there's anything else on Noah. A herald of righteousness, which is a proclaimer of divine truth, right? He's a proclaimer of divine truth, to proclaim or announce or to herald righteousness, which means equity, trust in Jesus, along with 7 others. What? But did protect Noah, a herald of righteousness, along with 7 others. The 8th octo. I would love to see who these fucking 7 others were. When God brought a flood on an ungodly world, and that's an inundation, right? An inundation, to dash down or deluge. To dash down or deluge. I would love to know a little bit more about the deluge. A surge of the sea. A surge of the sea. And remember, these could be the seas of heaven. The waters above or below the firmament. I believe it's the age of Pisces is what I believe. And he turned the ashes of the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and condemned them to destruction, having appointed them to serve as an example to future generations of the ungodly. And Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed by fire, right? Destroyed by fire. And this was an age of fire. So, just saying. Matthew 25:41. Then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. Matthew 25:41. Then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, you accursed, into the eternal fire that is prepared for the devil and his angels. Those on his left, well named, or the left hand. You know, you could take this many ways. A name, well, you know, you could say maybe the left hand path, right? Those in the left hand path, depart from me, you accursed, meaning to curse or damn, to doom, right? You cursed, you know, you doomed into the eternal fire that has been prepared for the devil and his angels. For the slanderer, false accuser, Diablo, the opponent, adversary, Satan, withstand. Whoops. Pardon me. And he will say to those on the left, depart from me, you accursed, into the eternal fire that is prepared for the devil and his angels. Now think about this, guys. I just want to kind of put this shit out there for a second. Like, when we're really thinking about what has happened here, you know, and we really look at a lot of this, and we're looking at the etymology of these words, it's really not a far stretch, or, you know, at all, to say that it's quite possible that, you know, we could even be that 1/3 of these luminaries, right? Remember, these luminaries, these heavenly hosts, these angels, these princes, these watchers, so on, right, came unto the daughters of men. If you think about just kind of even what that means, sons of God, like a masculine, this is a seraphic being, this is a fire serpent, right? Fire representing magic, spirit, right? Serpent representing like the kundalini, right, as well. This masculine dragon, if you will, coming on to the daughters of men. And the daughters of men, we could kind of look at that as like the Holy Spirit, or the divine feminine. You know, the masculine and the feminine commingling. So the heavenly host, or sons of God, the Elohim, who made man in the image, right? The image being the phantom, projection, illusion, the specter, right? The shadow, right? The shadow commingling with the Holy Spirit. And it's like we may have fallen from our original state. And then when he talks about this cloud of darkness and all of this, it's talking about this, you know, collective consciousness, you know, of darkness, you know. And that was reserved for Judgment Day until he can be redeemed. And then it gets you into the concept of original sin. Why do you have original sin? Maybe because you're a fallen angel. You know, we'll look at a couple more. Here. If anybody's got any questions, or wow, that is crazy. Matthew 22:30, at the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. Let's take a look. They will neither marry nor be given in marriage, but be like the angels in heaven. And that was, I think, Matthew 20, I think. Matthew 22:30. My bad. 22:30. And if you're in the chat, Twitter Spaces, or on Discord, and you have something to add, if you have an opinion on this, anything, you would like to, to jump on the microphone, now is the time, raise your hand, let me know. Now would be the time for those who want to do that, so I would actually be interested in hearing, what people actually have to say pertaining to this. I feel like I never get to hear people's opinions. 22:30, or in the chat. I'll read your comments off if you want to put it in the chat. 22:30. Bam. All right, for in the resurrection, standing up again. Wow. It's a recovery or moral recovery of spiritual truth. Raised to life again. Raised from the dead. That should rise. Rising again. Think about that. Something that's fallen. Something that's fallen. Something that's fallen. Someone that fell. Rising again. Right? Into the system of death. Coming back to life. Right? When we ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, surely you will die. Resurrection from death and raised to life again. They neither marry which means wedding, nuptials, They neither marry, which basically is, biological marriage, so it says, but are like angels, like messengers of God, carrying forth messages or carrying forth events, right, to bring tidings. They are a herd, right? They're his flock. Now, as for the resurrection of the dead, necros, corpse, have you not read what was spoken to you by God? I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. When the crowd hears this, they were amazed at his teaching. Ba-bow. He's saying, I'm not the God of the people that are in the system of death. That's Satan. The one who deceived you into the system of death. The one that deceived you into the fall. Fucking push. I am the God of the living. Right? When you're in your angelic state, when you've risen again into life, when you've been redeemed into life and you're out of the system of death and you're full of light again and you're no longer a shadow, you're no longer a demon, you're no longer wearing a mask. Hebrews 1:14. Hebrews 1:14. I hope people are getting something out of this. I really do. I hope people are getting something out of this. And they are enjoying it. I'm dying to hear like what some people think. Honestly, I am. I'm dying to hear what, some people have to say. Here's 1:14. Don't be scared. One. What the hell? Okay, let's see what we have here. All right. But to which of the angels has he ever said, "Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet"? Are they not all ministering spirits sent out to serve those who will inherit salvation? Are they not all ministering spirits, which means functioning publicly or beneficent? Right? They're a servant, worshiper, benefactor, beneficent. Well, are they not all beneficent spirits sent out to serve those who will inherit salvation? That is beautiful right there. Who will inherit safety, preservation from harm and danger, salvation from moral failure and death and eternal life through the Anointed One, Jesus, right? That redemption from death into life, through Christ. That is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like I'm telling you, I'm to the point, and anybody who wants to talk over on Discord, I see a few of you guys over there. I think you just got to raise your hand if you want to do that. If you're over on Twitter and you want to talk, you just, same thing, got to raise your hand. Anybody interested, I'm gonna leave it open for just a little bit longer, for people to chime in, and if you want to share any of your thoughts, when it comes to this. Do you think we are the fallen angels? Do you believe, and I'm also going to pull up the chat here too. Do you believe that we are the fallen angels? Are we the fallen? Are we the fallen? Or are we something different and totally separate? When it's talking about this original sin, it's talking about needing to be redeemed and bringing the dead back to life. We are in the system of death. I've got one more thing I want to read before I hop out of here. I told you this is weird. Archons. In the beginning there was a rebellion in heaven, and 1/3 of the angels fell into the material world. Our incarnated soul is a splinter of an angelic oversoul